One of the responsibilities that the coach has to their client is to be an emotional mirror for their experiences. Now, this is actually something that comes from our developmental needs. So when we're kids, our parents' job is to mirror back to us what we're going through emotionally. Now, for that to happen, the parents need to be constantly emotionally available. And so 9 times out of 10, the parent's not constantly emotionally available. And people are learning how to do this now, but it's really uncommon to have a childhood where your parents were always there for you emotionally. Let me unpack what I mean by that. Because a lot of people will say, yeah, but I had a great childhood, or maybe you didn't have a great childhood. But the point is this, is that when you were a child, when you were sad, you needed your parents to look at you and recognize your sadness, to say it's okay, it's all right. When you were angry, you needed a parent to recognize your anger and mirror that back to you and say, what's wrong? Something's wrong. I want to be here for you. Or when you were confused, to say, hey, what's going on? It's okay, we're going to work this out together. Now, through that mirroring, this is a developmental need. What happens is the child discovers what is okay and what is not okay. And when a child doesn't have certain emotions mirrored back to them, that child learns, well, these emotions are not okay, and I'm going to suppress this part of me, or this part of me is not okay. It's not mirrored back to me. It's like this part of me is not safe. And so in coaching, we want to repair that work and reflect back to someone what's going on for them emotionally. Now, how many times do you see this? This is so common. People cry, and then what do they say next? They say, sorry. This happens all the time. This still happens inside trainings here, and I say this to students. I say, you don't have to apologize for your emotions. Your emotions are safe here. And so if you're sad, then that's okay to be sad right now. You have every reason to be sad. Or if you're angry, you have every right to be angry right now. And I do my best to mirror the emotion that's happening inside the client. Now, there's many different ways that people avoid experiencing emotion. Now, there's a whole training that we do on this inside the school on the importance of emotions and allowing them out of our body. The way we allow our emotions out of our body is through feeling them and through accepting them and through having a relationship with our emotions that is positive. A lot of people have a horribly negative relationship with their emotions. They might be okay with other people's emotions, but it comes to themselves, they go, oh no, I don't want to feel that. I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to go there. I don't want to explore that. That one's uncomfortable. I want to avoid that. Now, the more we spend trying to avoid our emotions, what actually happens is we actually fuel our own anxiety. So anxiety goes through the roof. Uncertainty goes through the roof. Self-doubt goes through the roof. And our sense of self and our self-esteem actually diminishes as well. When we feel our emotions, we develop emotional resilience. We develop emotional intimacy with ourselves and other people. Our ability to create functional relationships increases, which means our meaning in life increases. Man, there's just so much to take away from committing to feeling our emotions. And a lot of the time when I'm with a client, they will minimize their experience. They say things like this, oh, wasn't that much of a big deal. But you know, this happened to a lot of people as well. And you know, all kids kind of experience that. And so what they're doing is they're minimizing, they're diminishing. What they're really saying is, my emotions aren't really that important. Now this makes sense because in childhood, what they learned was their emotions aren't that important. These ones weren't mirrored back to them. So it's my job as a coach to mirror that to them now. I'll share with you a profound moment that I had with a coach. I remember I was talking to a coach and I was sharing a story that my mum told me about me growing up as a boy. And I always used to think it was funny. I can't even remember why I was telling my coach about it, but it came up in the conversation. And so the story goes that when I was a child, when I was young, my mum would hold me in her arms. And when I was really unhappy, when I was really frustrated, I would hold my breath. And I'd hold my breath in kind of like this despair and this rebellion. And I would hold my breath until I would actually pass out. And I would literally pass out. I'd go blue. And I'd pass out in my mum's arms. And then I would just start breathing again. Now, luckily, my mother was a mothercraft nurse, so she knew what was going on and knew how to, I guess, be there for me from a physical point of view. And I told this to my coach. And he was the only person who responded from an emotional mirroring point of view. And he didn't laugh. He didn't smile. He looked back at me with a very serious face and he said, I'm really sorry. He said, that sounds not funny to me. It sounds like you were really in distress. When he said that, something just shifted and it just clicked, and I felt like I was validated at my core for a hurt or for a pain that I'd never been validated before. I cried for a moment and it felt like a beautiful release because I was validated emotionally for how I was feeling. So many people go through life these days and they never get validated. They're just pushing through, but no one ever says, hey, you must be exhausted. Gee, you must be tired. Wow, you're doing such a great job. It must be hard to do that. All of these validations and these acknowledgements are like food for our soul. You know, a lot of people think, oh, does that mean I'm going to turn into a victim and I'm going to lay on the ground and I'm going to manipulate people? No, that's not what it means at all. A healthy child and a healthy adult need to be heard, they need to be seen, and they need to be understood. And that's what mirroring does.